Hello, twatopotamuses and cuntosauruses.
Oh,
Yes, I found new names for you guys.
so what's the
Um,
difference?
so I'm gonna assume that a twatopotamus is a man because hippopotamuses are large, and I would never do that to a woman. And cuntosaurus just sounds like a bad bitch. So
Like the whole Patrick meme with like the nails freshly done, fake
yes. Oh my gosh,
eyelashes.
yes, yes, and the heels sky high. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Um, so today we're doing a book that I really liked, which might be
I'm
a
dying.
little surprising. Why are you dying?
Oh my god, I took a sip of my green tea and it went down the wrong tube. Oh my god. Oh, holy shit.
You good? You okay?
So what do I do to get rid of the pain? I drink more. Sorry.
Is the
Continue.
pain gone? Like, are you gonna be okay?
I have to keep muting myself to like cough my lungs up, but I'm good.
Oh, okay. As long as you're okay.
Oh god. Ivy.
We're professionals, ladies and gentlemen.
Sometimes.
So today we are doing the third and I think final book in the pirate series. Is it the final one?
It
Oh
is.
no. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
it is.
This one is called Vengeance of the Pirate Queen. And now y'all might be wondering, why did you read this book if we DNF the other one, yeah?
We did. We
Yeah.
DNF the second one and had a fantastic review on it.
So y'all may be wondering, why read the third if y'all DNF the first so y'all don't even know what's happening? It actually doesn't matter. I mean, just a little bit, but not really. It doesn't super matter. So there you go. That's your reasoning.
Well, because I think the second book, so we read the first book in its entirety. We both semi-rated it pretty high if you don't remember that episode. The second book, we ended up DNFing it around chapter 10. The only thing that stopped me personally from understanding what was going on is apparently in the second book. I guess she kills her dad and she becomes the pirate queen. Alosa does. So that was the only thing that kind of was like, wait, what's going on? Other than that, nothing really like you could basically go with that knowledge alone, you can go from book 1 to book 3 with no issues.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't read book two at all, then you wouldn't know that she finds her mother. But I mean, they kind of spell that out for you in this book. She found her mother, and now they're on good terms, and her mother's helping her. So, not super confusing. Also, Google is at your fingertips.
Yeah.
So in this one, we are not listening to Alosa, which thank God. I really couldn't do another book with her in it. Her story was getting very stale
It was.
and boring.
I mean, so Alosa was only in this book for maybe like what, a chapter, maybe a chapter and a half max. I actually liked her character more in this book than the previous books that was her own, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I
in this one,
don't
I think
know.
she's in the beginning,
Right,
like the
and that's
first
about it.
chapter, and then like in the end for the last like two chapters, maybe. That's
The
it.
author wrote her better as a side character than like the main bad bitch, and I find that very confusing.
Odd. Oh,
Yeah, but
yeah.
I don't know.
So in this one, we follow our girl Sorinda. If you watch the first book review we did, I'm pretty sure 100%, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we loved Sorinda.
Yes,
And I say we because I know I loved Sorinda.
I liked her.
Oh, liked. Got it. Okay. I see how it is.
I don't know. I still have the second book like fresh on my mind. The second book just gives me like the ick, you know?
Yeah,
But no,
that's fair.
Sorinda's probably my favorite character in this series, if I'm being real with you. She's like probably, besides Alosa in the first book, she's the only character that I find likable, which is probably mean, but I didn't really connect with any of the characters in the series. It didn't
That's
make it a
fair.
bad series, but I didn't connect with anyone but like her.
That's very fair. But in this one, we follow Sorinda, our little black cat girly pop. She's very introverted, as we know, but Alosa made her the captain of a ship. Is she happy about it? No. Sorinda does not want to be the captain. She said it as a joke. She was like, ha ha ha, I'd be a captain of a ship called the Vengeance because, I am your vengeance. Hee 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 hee. And Alosa was like, that sounds like a fabulous idea. Let's do it. Also, on top of your own little ship, here's a really important mission. Some of my girls have gone missing in the middle of the ocean. Please go find them. And Serena was like, you got it. I can do that. Maybe, possibly, maybe not. So, Sorinda, center of attention now. She's very, very uncomfortable. And we watch that for a long time. We watch how she struggles with being captain.
Oh,
And
yeah, almost
how,
the entire like first third of the book actually.
yeah. And she's like, well, as a captain, I think I'm supposed to do this, maybe. And then she tries it and it works. And she has like this little internal struggle of what she should do, what she shouldn't do. And you see that she's sometimes looking around for Alosa to follow what Alosa is doing or to ask Alosa what she should be doing, which is super cute. Like, that shows their little friendship, which is adorable. But contrary to the second book, we learn a lot about our main girl. Sorinda has a very tragic backstory. And I'm going to tell you right now because we're probably not going to super touch on it. When she was little, some individuals came and slaughtered her entire family. I know you're thinking she's alive, so not her entire family. But the only reason why she's alive is because the maid's daughter took her place in the slaughtering of her entire family. Was it on purpose? No. But Sorinda feels very guilty about it. She carries it with her all the time. This is why she doesn't like being outside of the shadows because she thinks her not being killed is what made her a monster. She's an evil person now because somebody died in her place, so she can't be in the light for that reason. Very sad. Super depressing. Anyways, her and her crew go on this awesome mission. Woo! Go Sorinda, you got this, girl. And then we have a little stowaway. I forget what her name is. What's her name? You liked her.
The little girl.
Yeah. The little girl.
Hold on,
No
hold on,
name.
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on.
Oh, I
Rosalind.
forget her name. Rosalind. Rosalind is a little stowaway, and Sorinda decides to let her stay and teach her how to be a spy, which is also very cute because it helps her grow as an individual.
Mind you, like the first 2 chapters we see her, she is such an annoying little shit. I would have just punk kicked her over the fucking side of the ship.
Look, she
But
acts
her
like a
character
kid.
development was good.
She acts like a kid because she is a kid. She's annoying because she's a kid. Kids are annoying.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, her character development was really, really good. So I actually did like her as a character. She
I
was a
think
sweetheart.
most of the character development in this book was fab.
Except for Raiden. I didn't like his. He just turned into a little whiny ass bitch.
Yeah, Raiden kind of regressed, but he was
Yeah.
regressing in book 2, so we saw that coming. So I'm gonna set the scene for you. Big boat. I don't know if it's big. I'm gonna assume it's a big boat. Big boat, middle of the ocean. Crew members are disappearing. Like, poof, vanished. Sorinda's on edge because she really takes it to heart when she loses crew members. And I'm not saying like, oh, I lost a crew member. No, like, oh my god, it's my fault. The crew members are dead. If I was a better captain, like, complete spiral. So she loses crew members. And, they describe the thing to us, and I'm still not 100% sure what it is, but I'm assuming it's a giant squid with way too many eyes. So picture that as you
It's
will, I
basically like
suppose.
the Kraken, kind of.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but then it said it had a million eyes, and I was like,
Yeah, it
I
was
feel like that's
basically the
weird.
Kraken. I don't know. I don't understand the eye thing.
I
Okay,
don't either.
so this is controversial probably. Imagine in, I think it's Dead Man's Chest, Pirates of the Caribbean, the second one, fantastic movie. If you remember specifically the scene where the Kraken comes up, massive tentacles starts wrecking the ship, that is literally this exact scene to a T. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, very similar. Although it's attacking the people, not the ship specifically, I think.
Yeah,
But same, like, scenario.
exactly.
Anyways, so they fight this and they end up killing it, which is awesome. She loses 4 crew
Yeah,
members.
4 to
She takes it
5.
very hard. Very hard. Um,
Abby
but she
McStabstab.
has she has our boy Kearan, I'm sure that's his name,
Yeah,
looking out for her, giving her advice. Kind of. I if you can call it advice.
that's what I think of him.
Whoa. He's very cold
I fucking
in the
hate him.
beginning. Yeah, he's very cold. He's very, I guess he speaks to her very matter of fact, but that
I
is
don't
no
fucking
one's
like
doing
him.
but Sorinda's because she pushed him away for so long and she was kind of a bitch to him for a hot minute.
But I even think at some point in the book, he even says, "You only ever respond to tough love, so that's what I do."
Yeah, again, her own doing. She doesn't know how to be sweet and tender.
I don't like him, and I know I'll get into that after the summary, but I don't like Kieran.
So this man's looking out for her when, if we remember previously from the first book, she was supposed to be looking out for him. So it's a nice little switch off. So they get past big creepy monster in the ocean and they come across an island where there are, and I shit you not, a fuckwad. Yes, that is an actual measurement of items. A fuckwad of just destroyed ships. And Sorinda's like, oh, hey, look, I recognize that one. That's the one that had all the missing girls on it. Maybe we should, like, investigate. And what I'm gonna assume are now the natives decide to shoot first and ask questions later. And Sorinda's ship goes down. Not with Sorinda in it because she was rowing off to the island. But it goes down. She loses, I think, another crew member, which is very sad. So now they are stranded on this random island in the middle of who knows where. And she decides, we're gonna go see what's happening with these natives. She finds the natives with Kearan, obviously, because he's attached to her hip. And they're guarding this weird cave. And she's like, oh, the girls must be in the cave, which is a logical line of thinking, you know.
I don't
So
think
they
any of.
go.
Never mind. Never mind. Continue.
So they go into this cave to go see if they find the girls. Now this is where I would wish our girl Sorinda had brain cells. Because she goes into the cave and it's ice and there are skeletons in the ice. So obviously your girls aren't here. There's something different here. We should leave. Leave, be on our way. Bye. But no, we trek forward. We keep going and we find some creepy guy in a coffin. Just some random dude chilling in a coffin, sleeping, I'm assuming. And Sorinda's like, hey, look, there's this coffin. Let me pop it open and look at this dude that's sleeping in the coffin. Let me touch this random individual. And she does, and he kisses her, which is odd. But hey, he's been sleeping for a hot minute. Maybe he wanted a little lovin'. Who knows? So he kisses her, she stabs him, and now she feels weird. Odd. Like she can't feel anything, which is kind of sad for Sorinda, but checks out. She runs away. She's like, oh my gosh, I did something wrong, Kearan. And Kieran's like, yeah, I figured. They leave the cave, they get captured by the natives, and the natives are talking to them. And Sorinda's the only one that understands what they're saying because of creepy coffin dude. And she finds out, well, you weren't supposed to wake the creepy coffin guy. Which, we could have seen that coming from a mile away. But, anyways, she finds out that the creepy coffin guy has some sort of magical thing in his chest that keeps him alive forever. It's like the panacea cure-all thing that everybody's been looking for, I guess. And he has it. He doesn't want to give it up. And he needs Sorinda to be his mate, his woman, for him to get off this island and go take revenge on those stupid sirens that put me here. Because of course everything has to circle back to Alosa. So Sorinda's like, yeah, fat chance, bro. But he won't give up. And Sorinda's already like in the process of turning into some unfeeling, undying, immortal being. And she's very sad about it. Because she can't feel Kearan touching her. Which is kind of cute in the context of the book. Not the way that I'm saying it, but in the context of the book, it's kind of cute.
No.
Okay. Anyways, they end up
I'm
stealing a
waiting
native
patiently.
ship. They steal a native ship because they're gone. Sorinda's like, we're getting the fuck out of here. He wants me, he doesn't want you guys. Let's get you guys safely because nobody else will be dying on my watch. And of course, the natives don't want to let them leave, but they're like 2 feet away from being free and clear. And, creepy undead guy shows up and he's like, Sorinda, you can't leave me. You're the love of my life. And you need to be with me in order for you to stay like this. And she doesn't believe him. He ends up holding her crew hostage, hurting Kearan and a few others. And he tells her, I will let you heal your crew members if you come with me. I will let your whole crew go, but you have to come with me. And Sorinda's like, I'm kind of in love with Kearan now. So, okay. So she heals everybody under the guise of like she's going with him. Ends up killing creepy coffin guy. I'm sure he has a name, but I don't remember what it is. And realizes that she cannot live without the thing in his chest. So she has to keep it with her at all times. So now she's basically undead. And if she destroyed it, all of the people that she healed with it while it was inside Creepy Man's body will also die. So again, she's not going to do that because then like 4 of her crew members are going to die and one of them is Kearan and she loves Kearan, so he can't die. So then they go back. They didn't find the girls, which was like the whole point of their mission. So who knows where those girls went? I don't think it's ever touched on again what happened to them. I think we're just supposed to assume that they died, which is sad. But she
Is his
goes
name
back.
Thaden?
Huh?
Is his name Thaden?
Maybe? I didn't write it on my notes. He's just creepy guy.
Oh, I think it is. It's Thaden, the villain.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
Thaden
yeah.
dies, as he should. So they go back to the keep. I'm pretty sure that's what they call it. It's very different than Alosa's dad's keep because you cannot rule the same place that other people know about. You have to make a new one. So she makes a new one. They go and they're like, hey, we didn't find your girls, but we have these natives. And they're like, down to clown. And Alyssa's like, sounds good to me. And Sorinda fills her in on everything that happens. And Alyssa's like, wow, girl, you went through a lot of character growth because last time I saw you in this office, you didn't even want Kearan on your ship. Sorinda was like, because I love him now. And then she tells Alosa, no, I will never be a captain again because that was too much. But I think I want to start training some of the girls to be assassins. And Alosa's like, yay! You're coming out of your shell. I love this for you. Cool. You can do that. And then we have our whole inner monologue that she's, talking about herself. And her little mantra was something about you can't be afraid of the dark because you're the monster that lurks in the dark. And she changes it at the end of the book and she calls herself the light, which is fabulous and amazing and wonderful.
We
That's
love
my
that.
summary. Yes. It's a very long-winded summary, but it's a summary.
Well,
What are your thoughts?
I'm gonna be real. I don't really have too much to say on this book, so I feel like the majority or like the remaining is gonna be Esper.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have hiccups.
Oh no, hold your breath.
This book, well, I can if I have to speak. This book was way, way better than the second book. 1000%. Obviously, because, we both finished it. So, it was definitely way better. I did like the character developments in this book a little bit more than the first book. And I really loved Sorinda's character. She did get a little annoying to me at the beginning because, it's kind of like what we touched on. The first, I want to say maybe like 10 chapters, it was more so, I can't do this. I'm the worst. I am blah, blah, whatever. And unfortunately, she was correct. She ended up getting a massive handful of her crew killed. And I don't necessarily think she was ready to be captain, but that's neither here nor there. Kearan, I did not like his character. He was, I don't know how to say it. Like, there was another guy on the ship. I can't remember his name, but he always says, like, I'm an adult, but everyone always thinks I'm a teenager. I don't remember what his name is.
I'll look it up for you.
Let me see. Yeah, I can't find it. So there's this guy that looks incredibly young, and I think it was like chapter 2, maybe chapter 3. I don't remember what his point of being on the ship was, but he basically goes up to Sorinda and like tries to discuss possible, I guess maybe business with her, and Kearan comes out and he just starts berating this man in like such an uncomfortable sense. And I'm over here like, I understand the grumpy sunshine, whatever, I get that, but he didn't even go from 0 to 100. He just immediately came out on 1,000. And I messaged Esper at that time and I'm like, bro, like, this is kind of a bit much. It's a bit much for me. I didn't like him. He did end up growing on me. I did like his character development a lot. He cooled down a lot in a sense, but he came in hot at the beginning. But ultimately I really did like this. I know that a lot of people in the reviews, they were saying that this book felt very mummy-esque. If you remember the movie, what is it, the 1990s, maybe 1980s? I think it's 90s. I did not get the mummy feel whatsoever. In the coffin baddie guy that Esper was telling you about, that specific chapter felt more Indiana Jones, in my opinion, than Mummy. I did like it though. It was really nice. I do think as well this book had the most action out of all 3 books combined, which was pretty nice. I did say that in episode 1, I believe, that like it's gonna suck if they wait until the final book to get all the action. I do think that the author should have spread it out throughout the books a little bit more evenly. That would have probably kept our interest a little bit more, but I am very glad to finally see some action. I was pleasantly surprised by this book. It still wasn't my favorite, unfortunately, but it was one of my favorites out of the series. So I liked it. I was pleasantly surprised.
Oh my gosh, I spent that whole time trying to look for his name and I couldn't find it.
No, I cannot. Like, I literally cannot find his name.
He's the superstitious guy. Oh wait, I wrote his name down. Hold on. I'm fucking stupid. Um, Enwin.
Yes. I think he deserved better. I don't think Kieran should have been as much of a dick to him as he was.
Yeah, but you get Kieran's backstory, and it's kind of similar to his reasoning as to why he didn't want friends. Is kind of similar to Sorinda's.
I understand that, but I'm also the type of person where, like, no amount of backstory is ever going to excuse the fact that you're a miserable human being taking it out and projecting on other people. I'm just saying, and that goes for IRL too. I don't know.
I guess that's fair. And to expand on like his backstory, Kearan, when he was younger, he was like in love with this girl, and he became a pirate for her. I think that's how they lay it out. And when they got on the ship, she ended up getting with another crew member, and I'm pretty sure they say that it was his friend or something. But anyways, she ends up getting with him, and then she dies. So then he starts drinking, and he becomes the Kearan that we met in book 1. And then he's like an asshole to Enwin because Enwin is like, we're friends. And Kieran's like, no, we're not. Which I can understand that after a while because it happens a lot in the book. After a while, it's like, dude, please be nice to this guy. Especially since he dies, by the way. Enwin dies.
It was a lot.
Exist. It was. I will agree that Kearan should have knocked it off a lot earlier than he did. Because when they find out that Enwin's dead, Kieran's so sad about it. And he's like, well, I really like this guy, but you know, my backstory. And I think that's kind of shit. Because like he's dead now. And he took a lot of the shit from Kearan. Because, you know, he realized that Kearan needed somebody and he was going to be that somebody. Even if Kearan was being an asshole. So I agree. Kearan should have shaped the fuck up quicker than the last, like, 6 chapters.
Right, and I mean, it's kind of like what you were saying in whatever episode before. Like, you're petty enough to mark whole stars off of ratings because of XYZ. I would have given this book an additional star over what I gave if he wasn't the way he was for the entirety of the book. So, yeah. I mean, it would have been better, but yeah, he did kind of ruin it for me. I mean, like, even like IRL, like Explicit and I watched a movie, I think like a week ago, and halfway through it, I was like, yeah, this character has ruined it for me. I can't pay attention. And the rest of the movie, I have no idea what happened. Like, I just check out once like something gets ruined, you know?
Yeah, that's totally fair. I do the same thing with like animes. If there's a character that's being a little too annoying, I'm like, bro, please. Like, I get it. It sucks right now, or like whatever the circumstances are, kind of blow. But please, calm down. Take a breath. Eat a fucking Snickers. And maybe walk off screen for a little bit. So I understand where you're coming from. I think I was more focused on Sorinda and like her struggles in the book than I was on like the side characters, which is why it didn't bother me as much. Because I think Sorinda had massive growth in this book. Do I want to say massive? Yeah, she had massive growth. She went from like this scared, not scared, but like very hide in the shadows, only come out when like I'm killing somebody type person, to kind of understanding herself better and knowing where her strengths are, and being like, I can do these things because I know I can. And then these other things I can't do, but I will do my best to do these things, which is wonderful. And Kearan also grew as a person, even though you hate him. Kind of. I
But
think
no,
he
I
opened
can
up
definitely
more.
agree that he did grow as a person. Like, he had pretty good character development. I did like his character towards the end, but it also shouldn't have taken like 25 chapters to get there.
Yeah, no. He did take a lot longer than Sorinda did. Granted, Sorinda took like 10 chapters to actually start implementing her character growth. Maybe it wasn't even 10 chapters, but still, she took a while to start implementing the character growth. But Kearan really only had growth towards her for a good portion of the book. And then towards the end, he was like, I guess I can grow for these other people too. But overall, I really like this book. Better than the second one. I think it's on par with the first one.
But you know, that's
Maybe.
actually one side, like little. I forgot the word. I don't understand how in the first and I guess the second book where we do end up getting her a little bit, Sorinda is explained and like described as kind of like the character in the shadows that basically, or the way I perceived her is that she had a good head on her shoulders. She was very good at her job. She knew exactly what needed to be done, when it needed to be done, and it was going to get done whether you liked it or not. Like like if your name was on the line, she was going to get you either way, right? So how is it that we have this amazing, like top-notch assassin? I understand pirating or like captaining or whatever. I know that's not a word, it's a word today. Becoming a captain and being an assassin are two completely different things. I understand that. But how is it that once you become a captain, you literally lose all of your fire? All of it. I didn't understand
Um,
that. That was the part that kind of like, because I was excited to get a book all about Sorinda because I was like, man, she is a boss ass bitch. I cannot wait to see this. And then we get to her book and she lacks confidence. She doesn't really know anything outside of I can't do this or I don't have the right mindset or whatever the case. It's just I don't understand how we go from this is the person that you're gonna get to once we finally get her, she's nothing like what was explained. I don't know if that makes sense.
mm,
I can't think of what I'm trying to say.
yeah, it makes sense. I think it's because, and I think she touches on it a little bit. As an assassin, she only has to worry about herself. She doesn't have to worry about anybody else. And she's very confident in her own capabilities to get something done. And she's never had to delegate anything. It's all just been her. She's relied on herself, nobody else. Kind of a lone wolf mentality. And then being a captain, you can't do that. Like, you hold everybody's lives in your hand, and you have to be able to make decisions very quickly and hope that they're the right ones, or you lose people. And I think because she's never had to be in that situation, because she's always watched Alosa do it, she kind of pulls back because she's unsure of her own abilities.
Which I can
Because
see that. Yeah,
you notice like when the crew is able to see her, she's very, I don't want to say meek, but like reserved. But then when she's watching the crew, when she's in her element, her confidence comes back. So I think she wasn't very good at adapting to the situation. So she kind of just let the uncertainty take over and she lost herself for a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that. I think, I don't know. There's a lot of questions that I feel like I didn't get answered in this book. But then at the same time, I feel like it was a good way of ending the series. I did actually really thoroughly enjoy this one compared to the others, though. This one was actually pretty good. I think if we kept Sorinda as the main character throughout the books and had her grow throughout the entirety of all three, I think the series would have come out way different, and I think I would have actually thoroughly enjoyed that a little bit more than having like Alosa progress, digress, then stay static, you know?
Yeah, I do think that if Alosa was written better in the second book, we would have massively enjoyed it. But like we said in that video, she seemed very whiny. And I mean, to be honest, crybaby-ish to me. Like her mommy and daddy issues really shined through in the second book and not in a good way.
Which I don't understand because once we get her in this book, even though it's only like a chapter, man, her character was insane. I liked her character. Even though it was only like
Yeah.
maybe like a paragraph or two, I liked that version of Alosa. I wish that's what we got in the original two books.
Yeah, I think that Alosa in this one was very sure of herself and knew what was expected of her and how to get it done and how to be the pirate queen, basically. Whereas in the other two, maybe in the first one, she understood how to be a pirate princess, which was fabulous. But then in the second one, it's like she didn't know how to be anything, really.
Which I mean, again, that's so confusing though, because the first book ends, I think it's like 2 months later, the second book starts, and this one isn't far off. I don't understand how she has like such a wide
character change.
Yeah, well, not even just character change, just entire personality switch within months at a time. Like, it doesn't even seem like we're reading about the same person.
Well, to be fair, in the second book, she's grappling with childhood crisis. Like, I've been lied to my whole life. So I can understand some regression, but the regression that she goes through is like crazy.
A bit too much.
Crazy bad. Yeah. So I see where the author was trying to go. And I think if she pulled back on some of the regression of Alosa's character, I think this would have been a very solid trilogy. Oh, and then fixed Raiden, because like he was very commanding.
What
and
even
like,
was that?
Yeah, he was like he was like a good male character in the first book. And then in the second book, again, whiny little bitch. And then the third book, now he's like some pussy whipped dude that just follows his girl around and is like, hi, this is my girlfriend. I love my girlfriend. Okay, bye. You know?
That's so valid.
But moral of the story, I'd give this book a 4.
So with me, I gave this book a 3.
Oh, don't make me hurt you.
No, I gave it a 3. But if you go back to what I said originally, I initially had the idea of rating this a star higher, but Kearan really did ruin it for me. So I docked an entire star based off of his slow, atrocious character development. It was originally 4 stars, but because it took 24, 25 chapters to finally get him on track, I had to dock it down to 3.
Okay, I won't hurt you.
But
that's valid.
Yeah, I mean, Max This book gets a 3.5 for sure. But yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with 3. But in my heart, it was going to get a 4-star, but he ruined it. And like, I can get past it sometimes, but no, like, he like legitimately ruined it for me. Like, I'm not even
Yeah,
like it left a bad taste in my mouth. So
that's very valid.
we almost rated it the same.
All right. I won't be too offended because I see where you're
No.
coming from, and I really do get it. But like I said, I think I kind of blocked Kearan out for a while, and I was more focused on Sorinda. So I think that's why I rated it as high as I did, especially considering the second book was atrocious.
Right. Which that's so valid. And like, you know, I think I may have touched on it earlier, or maybe I didn't. I don't know. But like, if he started his progression stages, maybe even around like, let's just say as far as like chapter 12 or chapter 13, that is still way too long to be a prude. I get that. But I would have taken like chapter 12 rather than like the final 10 chapters. And then I think
Yeah.
at that point it would have saved the rating. But at that point I was just done with it. Not necessarily the book, but just like his attitude, like where he stands, like the vibe he brings with him. Like he brings the vibe of the book down, and I don't know, I didn't feel for it. He felt like the at the time, obviously the end it got better, but at the time he just felt like a very useless character. He just felt like he was just there to be there because the author needed to write someone that gave depth to the book rather than it just being all pirates, whatever. I almost said yeehaw, that's not pirate. But
Yeehaw! We're pirates. Arr.
but like, I understand wanting depth, and I get that, and I can wholeheartedly respect that. But there is a time, a place, a right and a wrong way of doing it, and I think with the way he was in the middle of the book, that would have been perfect. He was still a like gut wrenching asshole that just made me want to like punch his ugly ass face in, but he didn't ruin it. But at the beginning, the first like 10 chapters, it was too much. It was just too much. But
Very valid.
yeah, that's yeah.
Well, that's all I've got.
It was good though. It was good. I do recommend the series. Even though, you know, she and I DNF'd the second one, I do say give it a whirl, try it out. This book is definitely really, really good for the young adult audience or those getting into
Yes.
reading. Or I originally said if you're a big fan of Pirates of the Caribbean, I love pirates, but I didn't get that massive vibe throughout the series. The third one, maybe. Yes, the third one, maybe. The first two, not so much. So,
Yeah, I feel like if you're gonna read this series, don't go into it wanting to read about pirates,
right.
because you'll be very disappointed.
And you know, this is gonna probably turn you off of it, but I want to be like very transparent, even though you may have already heard it. If you're expecting a book with action here and there, that's not this. You get action in the
No.
third book, but the first two books, the first book is Where's Waldo with a map. The second book, Who the Fuck Knows, and this book was actual like Indiana Jones meets Dead Man's Chest. And it was pretty good, but like if you're wanting like action-packed pirate scenes, you're not going to get that. But it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah. I would say it's closer to like maybe a slice of life book, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say it's closer to a slice of life than it is action.
Yeah. I can agree to that.
Well, that's our
But yeah.
video.
Yeah. Man, we've been like absolutely horrible at this, and that is absolutely
Yeah,
my fault. I'm Elvish. That's Violet.
I'm Esper.
For Night Court Narrative, hey, follow us on TikTok and Instagram. Pretty please. I'll give you head pats,
Aw.
or I'll give you like a swirly.
Oh, huh?
Goodbye.